And now you're saying people shouldn't even learn to code, right?
Modern labs change the definition of AI. So you're going to get a software agent that can work for a day or two to solve a problem. AGI is going to be sort of human level or human-like.
Hi, Amjad.
Hi.
So nice to meet you. I'm fascinated with your story and the story of Replit. And you once championed coding literacy, first in Code Academy as the first employee, and then in Replit, Gen AI unicorn company. And now you're saying people shouldn't even learn to code, right? So what changed?
Yeah, turned out to be a very controversial statement. The main thing that changed was the progress in AI. I've always thought that that agents are going to be a new wave programming. So code is a means to program. It is
Right.
not programming, So it's actually very tedious. There's all these syntax issues with it and all these problems. And by the way, we've gone higher levels of abstraction since the start of computing. Programmers used to do punch cards and then start doing assembly and then C and then Python and then JavaScript. And I think that's the next stage is agents. And I used to think it's going to take 5-10 years, but with the progress in AI, I think it's going to take perhaps 2 years. I did say that there are certain engineers that would still have to write code, and especially certain things where you need precision and you need provability. And if you go do computer science, I still think it's useful. But anyone who's more interested in building applications don't need to learn how to code.
Do you remember this? Was there like a particular moment of realization when you understood there will be like some people really hard on code and then the majority just doing it?
Almost my identity is wrapped in this idea of coding literacy. It's hard to change that. I think the first time I felt that was when we were able to build Replit Agent in beta, which was, I think, July or August. We haven't released it yet, but it was in beta and it was working. And I was like, wow, this could change things. And then I had this like cognitive dissonance. Like I didn't want to really embrace that. And then Agent V2, our version 2 of the Replit Agent, which is a fully autonomous programming agent. It can work for 15 minutes unsupervised. We built it in a way that's very user-friendly and put human in the loop. After that, I thought that, okay, the Agent V1 can work for 2-3 minutes on its own. Agent V2 can work for 15 minutes on its own. Now we're building Agent V3 and we're hoping to get it to a point where it can work for an hour on its own. And so if you can do that a few times a year, at some point, you're going to get a software agent that can work for a day or two to solve a problem, which is similar to how humans work.
And what are specific technological breakthroughs do you see that are still needed to reach that? Are you working on that in Replit?
Yes. I think there are two things. There's the models. And typically with the models, it's sort of like, I don't say automatic, but like computing data. Like you put computed data, you don't really need architectural innovations or algorithmic innovations for the most part. I think we have what we need to scale the system. We just need more compute, more data. On the engineering side, you need a platform that supports long-running agents and supports tools and services that allows agents to be able to build applications reliably. You need to be able to test things as they go. You need to be very good at prompting. And I think there are ways in which you can make the agent more reliable by providing a platform that has certain features, like for example, being able to like fork and try multiple things at the same time, like doing sampling or test time computing. So on the platform side, it's similar to how you build a platform to humans, but not entirely. There are a lot of challenges with building a platform where a model can be embodied to become an agent.
Can you talk more a bit about these challenges? Because, the year 2025 was named the year of agents, but still agents do not really work that well.
Have you tried Replit Agent?
No.
It works well.
It works well?
Yeah, people are running businesses on it. Like entire business, people are making money every day. And so
what is your best case that you really excited about on Replit?
A large real estate business used Replit to build a algorithm for routing leads to real estate agents that create a 10% improvement in conversion, which is millions of dollars. That's on the bigger side. On the smaller side, I don't know, like every day I see one, like one on my mind right now is an Airbnb property manager who does his entire back office and back ends and Replit that run his business. And so it spans anywhere from small businesses to big enterprises.
Do you reposition Replit anyhow, like from coding platform to something fundamentally different with like no code idea?
You know, the problem is people call it vibe coding and that's sort of stuck, which is like not the best term for us because you don't even look at the code. But I think that term is useful. And so I think we'd have to still use it for a while. But I think, again, in the next year or two, it's just going to be so abstracted away from code. The problem is like no code has certain connotations that are also not right because no code has always had these limitations that are very annoying. And like if you've used them, you get something very quick, but then it's really hard to iterate on them. And I think that's why having an AI generate code is more flexible. It's less lock-in. So I don't know what to call it. I mean, the best thing is like software development agent.
Software developer agent. Yeah, I don't like vibe coding. I'm not a coder at all, but when I'm trying all the different AI tools for that, it's that I'm just texting with the machine and then it builds it.
Yeah.
And I don't know the term. It would be good to maybe you can come up with a good term for that. So let's go back to the AI agents and the companies that build businesses with Replit. You once said that AI agents will create billionaires, right? And what we're talking about with AI, with AGI, is that a lot of wealth supposedly to be created in the world where coding is no longer a barrier. How these companies will be created? Will it be easier, harder, or like just completely different to build a massive business? You from like an entrepreneurial side.
I'll say we're already seeing results. It's not exactly agents, but we're already seeing results of AI creating highly efficient teams, generating multi-million-dollar revenue per employee. Even Replit, the revenue per employee is many multiples better than the traditional SaaS company that was in like the 99 percentile SaaS company is nowhere near the best AI companies in terms of revenue per employee. I don't want to talk about ourselves because I'll give an example that is not us. And if you look at Cursor, for example, they achieved a $10 billion valuation with like I think 50 people. That's really unprecedented. So that gives you a hint of where we're headed. And I think those efficiencies will continue to happen until a point where agents are truly fully autonomous and can work for days or weeks or months uninterrupted. Then you can see entrepreneurs deciding not to hire people or hire few people and like keep it like a bootstrapped small business, be able to create a insane amount of wealth and generate a lot of revenues for themselves. Perhaps I think $1 billion sort of valuation for like a 10-person team that is like more of a small business than a venture-backed startup is totally possible, even in the next year.
I think there are two different things that we're talking about. There are Gen AI startups like Cursor. And Replit is a little different in that sense because you've been around for almost a decade, right? So you've been like gradually growing to the unicorn status before Gen AI went crazy.
I think every startup has to be a Gen AI startup. In the cloud, I don't know, 2010 or 9, like we used to say like a cloud startup or something like that. But right now, every startup is a cloud startup. Like no one is actually a racking service and no one is like renting these VPSs. Everyone's using virtual machines and containers on the cloud. And so also mobile first startups, you don't hear it anymore because everyone has a mobile app. And so I think AI will be in every company and the idea of AI companies will cease to exist.
But you create tools for people who now can build businesses with AI. Just if you can extrapolate from what you see, how people use Replit, like what will be businesses of like one person 5 people company who can build a billion valued company with AI.
There's an older story before Replit Agent, but there's a teacher, his name's Adil Khan, who, saw a problem he wanted to solve, and he built a bunch of tools for teachers to like generate lessons and do assessments and all of that. Got to hundreds of millions of dollars in valuation in a matter of a year or two. Of course, he grew the team, so it wasn't like a solo founder, but I could see the future version of him being more of a solo founder or like more bootstrap, 5, 10 people. So these are the kind of things I think it is people who have problems in their day-to-day lives that are very unique. Right now in Silicon Valley, a lot of founders are just trying to predict or trying to like research and figure out what kind of problems they can work on. In a world where everyone has the tools, then everyone is empowered to solve their problem or their community's problem, and that creates a lot of value in the world.
Let's talk a little about AGI, since you expressed interest in the philosophy of mind and AGI. What's your personal take on AGI? What exactly do you think it is, and how close we are to achieving it?
It's always hard to discuss these things because ultimately there are unknowable things like about consciousness and things like that. But my intuition and belief is that it is perhaps harder than the AI researchers and labs and the common consensus belief in Silicon Valley that AGI is going to be sort of human level or human-like. The true definition of AGI that like the original researchers of AI have talked about is being able to drop an agent in any environment and the agent to be able to be successful, plan and be successful, and learn efficient skills on the fly. Learn skills efficiently on the fly. That's how humans work. Obviously, we have degrees of abilities, but if you drop me in a basketball game and I don't know anything about basketball, I might observe people a little bit and then deduce how I'm going to be able to do things, or someone can teach me for an hour and then I can acquire the skill. I'm not going to be great, but I can start learning it. Whereas AIs right now, when you drop them in a totally new environment, they tend to not be able to do anything. And so because they're a function of their training, we haven't seen AIs that really generalize beyond their training. Now, like modern startups, modern labs, change the definition of AI. They call it like a remote worker. We're going to create a remote worker that is like human level at certain domains. Well, okay, that's going to happen. I mean, I'm talking about it happening in coding. And then if you get data for most knowledge work out there, yes, you're going to be able to create a general purpose remote worker. Is that AGI? I don't think so, because it's not going to be generalizing and efficiently learning. And those are the big breakthroughs we need to get to AGI. And I feel like, yes, we're going to get more breakthroughs and we're going to get closer and closer. But I think ultimately we need to understand the nature of the mind. We need to understand consciousness, and we need to understand the brain a lot better to be able to get the final breakthrough, I think, in simulating a mind and machines.
Yeah, I haven't noticed any doomism in your interviews or anything like this about AGI.
No, I think there's big risk in AI, like any other technology, but I don't think there's a Skynet type risk like from that movie Terminator, like where there's a single AI entity that's taking over the world. I don't think that's plausible.
How AGI, or you're thinking about AGI, fits into your broader vision about Replit and its development?
Broadly speaking, we want to create the best habitat for AI. We want to create the best set of tools, set of computing primitives for AI. And so we want to be able to drop the state-of-the-art model into Replit and have it perform the best and have the best user experience on top of that. If we get to AGI, I'd hope that it would perform best working inside the Replit environment. That being said, it might become so good, and so if you achieve AGI, it becomes so good, so intelligent that it can construct its own tools and wouldn't need us. And so part of the reason why I don't like to sit down and try to predict AGI, because there are certain outcomes that we don't have control over. So if we're actually going to achieve AGI and then ASI, which is super intelligence, then it doesn't matter what we predict, because then the world is going to rapidly change. We're going to reach the point that's called the singularity. So I'd rather prepare for what I think the more likely world is AI that is continuously improving, becoming more autonomous, but it's generally still a tool.
So mostly people augmented with AI.
Yeah.
Replit is famous for open sourcing stuff, right? And working with community. What role community and open source plays at Replit?
There are a few ways to build programming environments and agents. One way is to say that we're going to build internal systems that can be automatable. And this is like what a lot of the no-code systems are doing. Whereas with Replit, we're like, okay, we're just going to give the agent open source tools and open source languages and have it create apps based on open source stack. I think that's better for the agent. I think that's better for the world because, applications are standard applications that kind of run on any Linux machine. As for community has been an integral part of Replit's growth, and people shared applications and remixed them and did a lot of really great things in terms of sharing. And we have a way to list bounties or problems on the site and allow other people in the community to help you with your code. I don't think we've achieved the true potential there, and I think. I've always imagined a world where there's an ability to transact naturally inside a platform like ours, where the agents can provision services and pay people in the community based on those services. I think that there's much better way to compose a software community where there's like a win-win-win scenario. Win for Replit, win for the community, and win for the end user.
What's your take on MCP and A2A? Is it going to be a protocol war, or are they going to complement each other?
I think MCP won already.
Already won?
Yeah. You only need a slight edge with open source protocol, and you're just zooming. Like, it's really hard to catch up. Bitcoin and Ethereum, Ethereum will never catch up, even though you can argue it's a better system. There are AI systems now that claim to be better than the transformer, but it's really hard to catch up because the transformer is good enough and everyone's investing in it. And so you just need a slight edge and you're off to the races. And so there's a first mover advantage that accumulates over time. So I think MCP won.
My last question will be different from what we've discussed before. You're an avid reader and have talked about, as I said, philosophy of mind and sci-fi that influenced your thinking. What is a particular book or idea that profoundly shaped your vision about how you think about AI and AGI?
A lot of people in tech read Douglas Hofstadter. There's a book called Gödel Escher Bach, which is a very interesting book about AI and consciousness and mind, but it's very winding and requires a lot of work to go through it. But there's another book called I Am a Strange Loop. And his whole thesis is that consciousness is an emergent component of a system that can self-reflect. So the moment you can loop on yourself and self-reflect and have a model for yourself, you're actually conscious. And he makes a very good argument for it. Like, very interesting. He uses a lot of analogies to arrive at these conclusions. But I actually ended up being less convinced. I think that it's a great book, and it's one of the best books to try to explain consciousness in the current scientific consensus. So I think you can come out of it either fully convinced, and that would make you someone who thinks that AGI is going to come very soon, because it seems like you just need an AI that can reflect, and we have the O series and R1 series to know how to reflect. Being less convinced, that's right, but it's an amazing read. It's very poetic too. We talked about
the last question. What excites you the most about this AI powered world that you're helping build?
I think access to opportunity. One of the paradoxes of the internet is like it was supposed to be this great equalizer where no matter where you are and what resources you have, you should be able to contribute to the internet and make money on it. But instead, like, the wealth really concentrated in Silicon Valley, in this geographic area. I think part of the reason is the skills and capital needed to build anything is still very high. And I think with AI, it's going to be deflationary on many things, including creating software. The costs will go down, and therefore there's going to be more opportunity for people in emerging markets to be tech entrepreneurs and build great businesses.
Yeah, I certainly hope so. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time.
My
And
pleasure.
thank you for joining me today.
Of course.